be picking up with Hebrews 11:6. It'll be talking about seeking God. Um, to me, a very, I don't know, I've been here lately, and I don't know if it's just the way things work out. I mean, I know it's God, but I mean, a lot of things has been, for me personally, is do I seek God uh, to be complete control of my life and for Him to have complete control over me? You know, so I mean, especially more at work than it is outside of work. But I mean, I really have, before even Greg sent this out the other night, you know, what does it mean to seek Him? You know, do you seek Him? Because it's easy to seek Him in an environment like this. It's easier to seek Him when you're by yourself at home. But, you know, because I think somebody had posted something that said something, you know, why let people get me outside of my Christian walk or something like that. And I was like, I mean, you know, it's kind of odd statement. But at the same time, I can understand to a degree because maybe they're thinking of it that they're not seeking God in everything. So it's not that this was unique. When Greg sent it out the other day, I was like, here we go. And so again, I just truly believe that, like I shared on multiple occasions, that God definitely has me and Him on the same page, same accord. Um, so Hebrews 11:6.
Um, says, and it is impossible to please God without faith. Anyone who wants to come to Him must believe that God exists and that He rewards those who sincerely seek Him.
Amen. First question. What is your first thought when someone asks you if you are seeking God? Mm-hmm.
What do you mean, like what?
So, what is your first thought if someone asks you personally, are you seeking God? I assume that's what we're.
Yes.
Yeah. So, I mean, so if I was to ask you, Tia, are you seeking God? What's the first thing that comes to mind?
And am I following God's word? Am I reading the Bible? So I question myself. Self-check.
Self-check, I like that.
I mean, I guess you'd want to like me like yes, you want to be like seeking God, but like it depends on. I mean, I guess it doesn't, but sometimes it does. Like, say you're just like at the grocery store shopping, like you're probably not seeking God at that moment, but you should be every other time. Maybe even at the grocery store.
What's that?
You could be buying the wrong stuff.
Before you. I just like say he said, am I doing all that I can actively and consistently to know what God's will is and what His word says about my life? I think that's the key, actively and consistently.
Right.
Did I do it yesterday? But am I doing it now? Yeah. Everything that I think about.
Amen.
I think when I see that with something like, because the question is really your first thought when someone asks you if you're seeking God, I guess kind of like what Tia said, you know, it's like, it makes you kind of stop and pause and examine like what you actually like, where you at in your, you know, are you reading, are you studying, are you in, I guess, in close fellowship with God? Because I mean, if you just like, if you think about like if you're seeking something, it's like if I'm just sitting here like just, I'm not seeking nothing. I'm just sitting here. You know what I mean? But like if you say, hey, go and seek this treasure. Well, if people go and seek a treasure, they like they don't like they're actually on a mission, they're on a goal, actually moving, going, doing something. So it just kind of, for me, that's the first thing I think, just like, it kind of brings about that mindset to just examine, I'm doing the things that equate to seeking.
Further down, but it was to put forth effort.
Yeah.
You say you can't just sit in the chair, Lord, where are you? I mean, I guess you could, but you either got to be praying or, you know, meditating or thinking about something that you heard in the sermon or something.
Yeah, I agree. Because the scripture that I thought of was, I mean, for me, you know, 1 Corinthians 10:31, you know, where it says, so whether you eat or drink or whatever you do all to the glory of God. You know, so I mean, kind of like you're saying, not just, you know, is my activity in seeking God in an environment or a place that's conducive, but do I do it all the time? Do I seek God? You know, because again, you know, I mean, I was listening to Francis Chan well, I was actually listening to it on the way back from Midland, and that's one of the things he said. He said, you know, are we at a point in our lives where we, you know, if we just let God do whatever He wanted to do, do we think we line up with what He thinks that He want us to do? You know, so are we actively seeking God? You know, hey, whatever area it is, God, just do it. You know, I mean, if it means, and it's scary because I mean, at the same time, I think we've had that conversation, God, a long time ago, when to surrender all, you know, and what it means to surrender all. Are we willing to let God have everything? I mean, no matter what that is, no matter what that looks like. And so, but again, I think it goes back to what you said. You have to do it purposely. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It can't just be like, I'm seeking God, but then you go on and keep doing everything that you're doing before that. I mean, so it's definitely got to be something that happens.
And I think the big thing, like just for now, say, are we going to say something? I'm sorry, you about to say something. Sorry. I think the big thing for myself, and I'm sure for most people, just like, for whatever reason, I guess everybody got different reasons, but at the end of the day, I think they're all excuses, like just being consistently seeking, you know, consistently doing it, and not just consistently doing it just to be doing, but having the right motive and passion and all that behind it. Like, I'm not just doing it just to be doing it. You know what I'm saying? It's like I'm doing this for a reason, for a purpose.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I think, like I said, for myself, I'm sure many others, like just the battle of consistency in that, which, you know, like I said, there's really not a good reason for not being consistent.
Here's a good reason to do it, though. Meditation 3:25. And I know it's more about, I guess, the Israelites, but we could use it. It says, the Lord is good unto them that wait for Him, to the soul that seeketh Him. So, I don't know, scripture word. It just kind of tied together that, you know, well, the scripture for our lesson, Hebrews 11:6, if you sum it up, it just says, God rewards them that diligently seek Him. If you're looking for, look, I want the reward. I mean, you can be honest and say, I want the rewards, as opposed to, you know, the punishment or the penalty for not doing so. I mean, I don't know, it's not in a fearful way that, oh Lord, I don't want to get sent to the pit, you know, but, you know, you want the rewards. We all want to be successful. We want, you know, the good stuff. You know, we don't want the leftovers. We want the first, you know, and if we seek God, it says He's gonna bless us, and the good things is gonna come to us. You know, if we wait for Him. So good things do come. You know, if we just are patient. So that'd be my goal. Let's bring it on.
All right. Anybody else? And we kind of got some of it from what we just said on the second part, or the second question. What does it mean to seek God? But I'm sure, I mean, does somebody else have anything that they put down differently than what they've already said on that one? Because I understand our first thought, but what does it mean? I mean, I know actively seeking, but
I'm Deuteronomy 4:29. Is that yours?
Yes,
I'm sorry.
that's all right.
Said, but from there, you will seek the Lord your God, and you will find him. It says, if you seek him with all your heart and with all your soul. So there's this that kind of following up like with the being, I guess, passionately, actively, like doing versus just like, saying it.
Right, and that's why I had a second, then another one, which was Second Chronicles 7:14. I said it, which was is very famous because of back then. I think what was it, the prayer of Jabez, that enlarged my territory and all that. Well, that was in the same concept when people started doing this one as well. But Second Chronicles 7:14. If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, then I will hear from heaven and I will forgive their sins and heal their land. So, and here's the thing to me, if you look at that, it can be more than just one person. You know what I'm saying? I think we get so consumed with just us as individuals, but as DTL, our goal should be to seek God as a group, in that process. And so, and the great thing is, and I think about our country in all honesty, that if we would allude to the scripture, God would turn things around within our own society or any society as far as that goes.
It's funny, this is the second time somebody has quoted this, like that description the past couple hours. I was on the phone earlier. He said, he was reading the scripture today, and he was like, man, he said, and it's funny, he said, he read the scripture to me, he said, it sounds really good, like people talk about, it's in a lot of sermons and stuff, he said,
Yeah.
Again, he goes back again, like, just like the application of it, he's talking about like, say, if my people, and his first question was like, well, like, who are my people? People that call out my name, and he said, those people were like, following through with the rest of this, humbling themselves, praying and seeking. And it's just kind of like, I know we talked the past couple weeks about like confession, and a little bit about repentance, and just another example that, we're to be, confession and repentance isn't like a one-time thing, it's continuing like, turning away from things and turning more and more to God.
Psalms 27:4 says, one thing have I desired of the Lord, that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord and to inquire in his temple. And I put that down because it made me think, because everything was connected, the thing that you seek after. If we seek after the Lord, to dwell in his house. David is talking about in the Lord's, the 23rd Psalm, verse 6 says, surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord. So it's like seeking to dwell in the house of the Lord, or just wherever he is. And if we seek him, it's like, man, all this good stuff is there, and so we want to be there. And just since y'all going back in the old time, Jeremiah 29:11, it's just like the children of Israel. It's like the Lord wants to know that, or he wants us to know that he's got a plan for us, our future, and he wants us to succeed. So, but he wants us to call on him and pray to him and seek him, so he can give that to us.
I forgot what the two verses or the two scriptures were, but the one was seek ye first the kingdom of heaven.
That's what it is.
I was looking for it. And then the one that it usually doesn't get read all the way through is draw close to God and he'll draw near to you.
James, I'll find it. I'll find it too. I'm pretty sure it's changed. James 40?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, that's what in Acts 17, it's when Paul's in Greece or Athens, and he's talking to them, And, he's breaking it down and he turns around and tells him, hey, I see y'all got all these idols, but you have one that says the unknown God. And he goes on to tell him, the reason why he goes, I know that unknown God, one that isn't created by humans' hands, and one that doesn't need to be served or doesn't need to be served by humans. But he says in verse 17 and 27, he said, he did this so that they may seek God and perhaps they may reach out and find him, though he is not far from each one of us, which I think is very unique because that lets us know. I mean, I think sometimes people get the idea that God is far away.
Why?
Because that's the way it's been personified throughout time. I mean, because they think, well, he's far in heaven, and then if that's the case, then that means he's not omnipresent. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, with that, I mean, that's Paul letting them know, hey, he's not far away. I mean, he's simply, a yell away. I mean, that's the reason why I love in David. He said, I can go to the depths and you're there. As high as I can go, you're there. As far as I can go over here, you're there. I can never escape your presence, which again, even alludes to what Greg was talking about when it comes to repentance. I mean, some of us are think that God, doesn't know, and so we think we're getting away with something when in all honesty, I mean, just like that scripture tells us, it's not far away from us, not far away from us. So, I mean,
I think at the beginning when I first wrote that down, I started my first thought was when I think about seeking God, it's like, why am I looking for? He's not lost. I'm the one that's lost. And it's like, we don't really have to do. It's not that hard. It's, like you said, he's everywhere. So we're not. It's not even take a whole lot of effort on our part. Just open up your mouth, or say.
Well, it's almost like that made me think about even like with faith. He said like with faith with mustard seed. It's like in the big picture, he didn't really require a whole lot. But it's like just but the problem is I don't know. It's like not even just
A little bit is too much.
yeah.
did you have that one? Were you gonna read it, James?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
I got it.
You good?
You got it? Go ahead.
So humble yourselves before God, resist the devil, and he will flee from you. Come close to God, and God will come close to you.
Well, promise. I guess when I was reading the devil, it's like somehow God, like he's omnipotent.
Omnipotent.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking about too, he's it's all of it. He's never like too busy. Like Psalms 121 says verse 3. Yeah, 121. He said he will not allow your foot to be moved. He who keeps you will not slumber. Behold, he who keeps Israel shall neither slumber nor sleep. So God is just like it's like no rest days, no time off, just
No days off.
no days off.
Yeah.
Always doing something,
Mm-hmm.
always available.
Like 7-Eleven. 24/7, 365. So, I mean, that's our God. Anybody else? Amen. So it says, what is necessary to seek God? Proverbs 8 and 17 and Jeremiah 29, 13 through 14.
I'll read 17.
Okay.
I love those who love me, and those who seek me diligently find me.
What was the Jeremiah one?
Jeremiah 29, 13 through 13 and 14.
If you look for me wholeheartedly, you will find me. I will be found by you, says the Lord. I will end your captivity and restore your fortunes. I will gather you out of the nations where I sent you, and will bring you home again to your own land.
So why is it necessary? And you can even go with something that you personally feel, not just that those two scriptures, but I mean,
It's necessary because he will make the food straight. But to show your love first.
amen.
And like to seek, honestly, to seek anything other than him is like wrong because like essentially it's like because he's okay, he's seeking us and we should want to seek him. And it's like it'd be like me like someone's trying to talk to me but I'm running away from them and they're chasing after me.
Amen.
The scripture says if we seek it's necessary to seek him. He loves us, so we seek him, and we can find it. King James says, if you seek him, you read it, he said, diligently seek him. This is if you seek him early. And when I saw that, I thought about, it's like the saying that the early bird catches the worm, meaning, if you do it early, while all the good stuff is out, you don't want to go and pick over, the leftovers because you go early because you want to get the best. And just seeking him early, and then I thought about early, meaning like in our lives, because like, why wait till I'm old and I can't hardly get around and I want to serve the Lord and I can hardly walk or whatever. But if I'm young and I'm in my youth, I'm vibrant and full of energy, and I can get out there and do things for for the kingdom cause. But like the scripture we talked about, the James 4:8, if we draw nigh to him or get close to him, which is what get near to him, get close to him, yearn for him, put some effort into seeking him, then he's easy to be found, especially if you do it early. It's like
That was it.
And all the scriptures that we read, the main thing I'm getting out of it is that God will reward us for seeking him.
Because I got like Psalms 34:10, the lions may grow weak and hungry, but those who seek the Lord lack no good thing. I mean, because again, going back to doing what God has called or asked us to do, because our joy is not in the materialistic things, or should not be. But that doesn't mean that God won't provide them for us, but in that process, I mean, because we learn to become content in whatever, circumstance or situation we're in, because if we're seeking God,
That's where you're.
well, I mean, so even to me, most of the time when I'm struggling or going through something that's difficult, that's when I do find that God is the most closest to me. But I have to be willing to seek him or call out on him, kind of like Nita was saying, because I think it was in, is Isaiah? I wrote it. There we go. Seek the Lord while he may be found, call on him while he is near. So I mean, I don't know. People are so confused by, they think that he's like distant. He's not. I mean, but if you seek him, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I think some of the greatest times I've ever had with God is when it's just me and him. I mean, even yesterday, that's reading. A lot of people are like, why do you like to make that trip? I mean, I like to make it because I enjoy. It's 4.5 hours of nobody except me and God. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it's not that I don't dislike hanging out with people, but I mean, I don't get that very often. None of us, because life happens. I mean, we get busy. So, I mean, it's 4.5 hours there, it's 4.5 hours back. So, I mean, that's 9 hours of, and the good thing is it's dead zones, so I don't have to worry about people calling me. But I mean, it literally is just You know, you can listen to sermons, you can listen to music. I mean, you can shut everything off and you can just, I mean, it's you and God and you're seeking him. And I mean, and it's just like, yes, you know, I mean, because I really, I mean, I'm tired when I get home, but I'm rejuvenated in some ways because spiritually, he fed me while I was there, you know. I mean, so I think about Jesus in the wilderness. Anybody else? Of course, I mean, these couple of scriptures, I mean, if you really, I mean, there's multiple. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, I mean, and again, just like that, if you're seeking God, I mean, just type in seeking God, you know, on the Bible app, and you'd be amazed at how many scriptures, and most of them are that there is a reward in seeking God. Just like I said, necessarily doesn't have to be materialistically, but I mean, you know, I mean, especially in the Old Testament, I mean, they were under some pretty tough laws, you know. I mean, actually, again, I go back to David.
I think sometimes too it's important people know like we like rewards like reward. A lot of times people get like rewarded. It automatically has to deal with like materialistic or like just monetary things, and that's so far from God's. You know, things like if you feel like seeking God and being rewarded, like, well, I'll reward you with, you know, being in my presence, I'll reward you with comfort, I'll reward you with peace. I mean, there's like so many things that He can reward you with. And I just think it's important to know that a lot of times I said the mindset of our reward is just, you know, like Powerball or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I want, but you know, God's not interested in those things that bring you know, those are just material things and monetary things. They're all temporary.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like you can be. I mean, look at the number of athletes that's been at one point in life made, you know, millions of dollars, and today they're broke. They're broke. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So just let you know, or even money bringing any type of like. You know, peace or any of those things you talked about, money can't provide those things. There are several people, like just in the past year, like very wealthy people that committed suicide. You know, and had from the world's perspective, like as far as money and all that stuff, they had all that. You know, but it wasn't enough to keep them or to supply what they really needed the most.
When I think about, like you were saying to me, I mean, I don't know who said it, but he talked about, you know, the lady at the well, how Jesus ministered to her. And he told her, you know, what I have to offer you is living water. And that's what he said. So many of us are drinking salt water, you know, and because, I mean, the thing about salt water is you continue to be thirsty. Yeah. That's the way materialistic things are. The more you drink salt water, the thirstier you become. Well, same thing when it comes to materialistic things. And but once you know, and he said, you know, when you're in the middle of a desert, you know, and finally coming into that relationship with Christ is like having a big bucket of cold, nice, great water that satisfies like nothing else. And because I mean, Psalms 63:1, and I think about this is now, you, God, are my God. Earnestly I seek you. I thirst for you. My whole being belongs for you in a dry and parched land where there is no water. I mean, to me, you know, I don't know who said it one time, but I just remember him saying we have to want God as much as we want that first breath of air that after somebody's held us underwater. I mean, how, you know, when you take that first breath after you die, you're going to die. I mean, it's almost like it's, you know, it's exuviating. And so, exuviated. He said, there you go. Thank you. And you know, but I mean, that's how we should be about God. I mean, if we're seeking him and he's truly, I mean, the greatest gift is his presence. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, to me, we should be as excited as we are when our team scores touchdowns as we are about the presence of God showing up in our quiet time, in our group time.
Did I send you the video of David Clark? I'll give you like a quick, just won't take me a second. But he said if he was, time's up, I know. But he said if he was like from another country, he came here and visited, like, okay, like he came to your church or whatever. He said, you know, you get in there and people are like kind of dragging in, and people are coming down, and you go through some songs and you go through the sermon, and you might get somebody like, you know, doing a little bit of that stuff, you know, it's like okay. And then you take those same people that you had and you go to this I think it was they were like in Alabama. And you go to like a Alabama game like Saturday. He's like, you get there, man, it's like people are ready like up and like just, you know, on fire. You know, it's like, and he went on to describe a few things about that Saturday and comparing it to the Sunday. And it's like, if you looked at that, what like which one would you want to, you know what I'm saying? Which one would you believe that this were you worshiping, you know, this or you worshiping that? And it's like, really, man, it's like, you know, it really made a lot of, I mean, we think about it, and it's like, you know, and it's not the same. And would you get excited about, and it's not to say you can't go to a game and get excited. That's not, you know, but man, if that's like, you see people at games, man, like crying and stuff. I ain't talking about kids neither.
Oh, yeah.
You know, crying, looking like, man, it's just like the world is over because their team losing. I'm like, and I'm like, man, that's a lot of passion for a sport. You know, heck, I see it on Tuesday nights here in at the middle school game, and I'm like, whew, you know. But then, like I said, so when you come down to what really matters the most, it's just like, you know, kind of like the attitude of Africa, really. It's really boils down to. And it says a lot because God, like, you know, you're talking about seeking Him, He's looking for that, like you said, diligent, like wholeheartedly. You know, it's like, you know, I want you to really be after me. Because even if it doesn't, being diligent and wholehearted doesn't necessarily mean like, it's more, you can always put that like the position of your heart. You know what I'm saying? Because like, if I'm really into it, I'm not gonna be like, man, I got my 15 minutes of reading in. Now what? I can go on with the rest of my day, I got that over with. Well, those 15 minutes, that's to God, you could have spent that 15 minutes doing something else because He doesn't receive that as you seeking Him at all. You know, because you're looking at it more of a duty or obligation rather than like, man, I'm just cutting out some time for the God and be like, you know, I'm trying to put in 15 minutes and like, oh man, look, man, it's been 30 minutes, something like that. You know what I'm saying? But and God knows all the things that we can try to like, I guess, make look good to people. It's like God knows all the motives, He knows all the agendas, He knows all that stuff. Like what's really going on in your heart, why you're really doing what you're doing. You know, and if it's for any other reason than for Him, that He does not. He doesn't see that.
It's a claiming symbol.
Yeah. That was more than a second, but Rebecca wanted me to say some more.
Psalms 42 is where I couldn't find it, but it says, as the heart panted after the water brooks, so panted my soul after thee, O God. My soul thirsted for God, the living God. When shall I come and appear before God? So it's like,
It's a song.
it's a song.
It is.
Yeah.
That's how we need to.
Matt Gilman.
Well, and so, because you said that, wholehearted, showing or characterized by complete sincerity and commitment. Words described as wholehearted, committed, positive, emphatic, devoted, dedicated, enthusiastic, unshakable, unswerving, unqualified, unrestrained, unreserved, unconditional, unequivocal, complete, full, total, absolute, and submission to everything possible.
That sounds like a Saturday.
Yeah. So I mean, everything that you do wholeheartedly unto the Lord. And just like you said, it's not to knock a sport. It's not to say that those things are, bad, but when those things become idols, then, I mean, that's when they become, and I know I'll be the first to tell anybody that at one point in my life, the Dallas Cowboys were an idol. I mean, because I allowed it to disrupt me. You know what I'm saying? When they lost, I was probably mad about them losing as more than anybody. I mean, I'm talking about, including the players, and so, I mean, but it wasn't until we were having church on Sundays, missing some games, you get a break from it, you get away from it. And then before you know it, you're like, man, I can't believe I was that consumed by it, and other people could see it. I know Tia could. I mean, but I mean, when you're consumed by it, you don't realize the impact that it has on you until you get away from it. And so, in the same respect, just like Greg just said, when you're spending that same amount of time and that same amount of passion in seeking God, well, before you know it, what started off as 15 minutes of whatever worship, whether it be just, quiet time, I mean, you're like, oh my gosh, it's been an hour, because I mean, and that's one of the things I think that we as a church, as a society, got to get away from doing. We have to seek God, not read commentaries, not read these great books, I mean, we have to stow away, because not everybody that wrote those books wrote them with the intent of you growing in Christ. Yeah, and so I mean,
some people just trying to make money.
Exactly. So I mean, you can't depend upon that. And God, and so even in that same concept, to me, I mean, some people allow either ministers, or they allow people that write books, or the book themselves outside of the Word of God, become the thing that they use to seek God. And that's not always a good thing. I mean, that's, I go back to what Jeff said that Sunday when we were there last time. I mean, we got to get to the point where we read the Word for what it is.
Well, it's like the Bible, the Bible says, study to show yourself approved. So even if you're listening to somebody, you're held accountable for, knowing if that's, because people can. There's a lot of motivational speakers out there. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. There are people that can make you feel really. There's a lot of pulling emotions, and emotion. When I'm trying to make you feel good about yourself, there's just something I'm not going to talk about. If I'm trying to make money off of you, it's something I'm not going to talk about, because
I want to offend you.
Right. I'm gonna make sure whatever I'm telling you is gonna make you feel good about yourself. It's like, oh man, it's a play on emotions and all that stuff, so people's agendas and all that stuff, like you have to know the Bible for yourself, regardless of who's teaching you,
Yeah. And it's not to say that you have to be a Bible scholar. I mean, what I'm saying?
Well,
I go back to, sorry.
No, that's the thing. I mean, God, everything, like, God, even in that, God says, He gives the Holy Spirit to teach us, to guide us, and all. So things that you don't know, well, yeah, the Spirit will give you the knowledge. So that, I mean, dude, look at the people God used.
Yeah.
Think about it. The people He used. They weren't rocket scientists, but they were willing and able, to be used by God. And sometimes, I think sometimes people that struggle the most with any type of anything spiritual because they think themselves, I'm so smart, I'm so, I know everything.
Too smart for their own good.
Yeah, a lot of people are really hard to connect with, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be an answer to everything. Well, I don't know about that. You can't prove it. It's like, well.
When I go back to that scientist that turned around and said, if I could describe, God in His fullness, then why would I want to serve a God like that? You know what I'm saying? He's undescribable. I mean, he's just sitting there saying, if my 3.5 pound brain could figure out everything about God, then there would be no need for me to have a God. So, that's the reason why God says our thoughts aren't His thoughts. His thoughts aren't our thoughts. So you want to say something?
You were talking about just the intent and seeking God. So I just found 1 Peter 2. 1 Peter 2 verse 2 says, as newborn babes, desire the sincere milk of the word,
Mm.
that you may grow thereby. If so, you have tasted that the Lord is gracious. And just, you know how babies are, that's all they want to do is eat. And so it's like, that's how we need to be for the word, always hungry for it.
Mhm.
So,
And cry if you don't get it. So, which, I mean, is a good lead into the next part. What, you know, I mean, what are some practical ways in which we can seek God? I think the first one is what you just read.
prayer, fasting, reading the word and meditating on it, hearing his voice through a sermon or the words in a song. Not for dreams and visions, but I guess that's, you don't really have any control over that, but
I would say too, being out there together, like being in close fellowship with other believers versus being an island or surrounding yourself with your inner circle being unbelievers because you did the analogy years ago, matter of fact. Used to go to church so much years ago and we had kids like one of them standing in the chair and you talking about like, is it easier to like no matter how big the person in the chair is, you can pull them down. Small person pull them down, but pulling somebody up to their chair with you took quite a bit of work. You know what I'm saying? So being around a lot of people that are like going this way can easily influence you that way versus you influencing them because I mean think about it. If I said like if I invite 10 people to church, you know what I'm saying? Oh man, I don't know. I said, but if I invite 10 people to a party, or people invite me to the same group, you're like, well, we can't make it to church, but they be like, oh man, we have this party next Friday night. The chances are more likely I'm gonna wind up at that party versus them winding up at church. That's just, so it's like a good thing to surround yourself with other believers.
Pretty much. So it's good. So, studying of God's word for your worship fellowship.
Guns up. Yeah. Thanks, thanks.
Just that I don't like them.
It, yeah, I mean, that's kind of pretty much something with me. I mean, to me, I just said, you got to get away from everything to get to know him. And I think it goes back to what we started off with. It has to be an active thing. You got something?
He was involved in the next question.
No, okay. No. So that's, so next one says, what are the obstacles to seeking God? Below are just a few. Feel free to add. Did you want me to read those? Or were
You can't. It was just. I basically just. Those are just some examples.
Yeah. So you got.
You didn't have to go. Those were just like examples of scripture.
Yeah.
I mean, it wasn't like an inclusive list of like.
Yeah.
Because honestly, the obstacles could be.
Oh yeah. But just so I mean, the listeners, even if it's a later, is pride, which is Psalm 10:4, trusting in human resources more than God, Isaiah 31:1, idolatry, Colossians 3:5. Eyes on the wrong thing, Colossians 3:1. So those are the ones, just a few examples. But if somebody has anything else, please feel free to share those.
I was listening to a guy today and he was talking about pride. He was talking about different things that kind of like separate us from God. And he was talking about pride being the number one thing because it just pride is you. Well, what's the opposite of pride?
Humble.
Humility. And a lot of people struggle with that. A lot of people struggle with, without really, realizing that they're really prideful.
Well, I mean, to me, a lot of people, because we always equate the first sin to what Adam and Eve did, but in all honesty, truthfully, the enemy, the devil, was the first one to allow himself to fall prey to what?
Oh, pride.
To pride.
Yeah, big time.
I mean, and so obviously it was enough that God said, no, that ain't the one partner, and it's not you. So, I mean, it upset him enough. And think about that. This is a God that has compassion. But, and the crazy thing is, which again goes to show to me that pride is not only a human thing, pride is a spiritual thing as well. Because, I mean, a third of the angels, I don't know how many angels there are,
Right.
but there are a third of them that swelled up with, to me, with the same amount of pride because they thought that he had the ability to do something about it.
Yep.
So how many people get a false sense of pride by somebody trying to lead them into something, which again goes to the wide is the gate to destruction, narrow is the gate to life. There's a lot of people, because they take passion and pride in it, a lot of people fall prey to that and follow the wrong thing.
Yeah, that's one of the things I've said before. All that said, like, it takes there's a huge difference between. I'll just focus on men. There's a huge difference between men that try to raise boys spiritually versus carnally. Because from a carnal perspective, most men are raised they want to go out and but it's not presented like you're wrong. You can't do this. It is presented like hey, you're your own. This and that. And the reality of it is like, man, the strongest man in the world to me is a man that falls before God and says, "I need you." That's the strongest man in the world to me.
Well, I think about David Robinson.
Yep.
And, when he said, as they asked him about, what does it take to be a man or something to that degree. And he said, it's the bigger the man is the man that goes home and don't go out and party with the rest of the team, but goes home to his wife or goes back to his hotel room. And he said, that's the bigger man. And which, anybody that knows David Robinson, he was a great example. And but I think, just like you said, now we equate to being a man as, doing things that beating somebody up or, sexual encounter. Yeah, there's so many things that people try to equate to being a man that are so far from the truth.
The thing about it is you'll find none of that.
Oh, yeah. Well, and it goes back to the salt water. Once you become engaged in that, then it's hard to not drink the salt water unless Jesus Christ himself comes in and, makes that living water available to you. And it'll always lead to more destruction. So, it's I just know, I'm speaking from personal experience, and until Christ, gosh, I think about where I would be if it wasn't for him. Don't necessarily know if I'd be dead or not, but I do know that, I would not be in a good position in life. So thank God he saw me first. Anybody else? Anybody have any other ones they want to add to that?
I put self-righteous. Not just in the name of the, I couldn't find it, but being Pharisee-like, just like when they go to the temple to pray, those two, it's like, that's the reason why I don't have to see God, because Lord, I thank you, I'm not like X, Y, and Z, and everybody else, like because I don't do all that stuff, so I don't have to. And just that distorted view of ourselves or whomever it is, feel like, okay, well, I haven't done anything wrong. I've been saved since I was born, or that kind of stuff. That
Jesus,
that you just don't do any wrong, and that's just ludicrous because the Bible says all have sinned.
Since I was 17.
And so just knowing that, it's better than or whatever.
You gotta tell people you're joking.
I don't
Yeah, amen. That's not
Nothing
true.
wrong.
That is not true by any means. But I've never thought about it like that, how that can be. Because to me, and I mean, on that, you can seek God for the wrong thing.
We praying for everybody else.
Yeah.
Oh, I pray for this sinner here.
Yeah,
and
I'm glad that I'm not like that person. I'm glad that you made me the way I am.
Lord, make them like me.
Yeah. Yeah, Lord. Yeah, but I like that one. That was a good one. Anybody else?
We just added priorities, which kind of goes along with the eyes on the wrong thing. Time. And commitment.
Yeah, time. Yeah. Anybody else? So the next one says, what are the rewards of seeking God? Which I know we kind of hit a little bit on the top one, but I mean, even with that, I mean, restoration is, I mean, in all of those things, I mean, God can restore us. I mean, you know, just like Dee was talking about, I mean, Tia, I mean, time, when I think about time, God can restore time. He can, you know, for all, you know, I remember when that guy prophesied over me and he said, for all the time that you were angry as a child, God will give that back to you. You know, and so, I mean, it took a while, but he has finally gotten to where I feel like I'm, you know, I've allowed that, because I used to be pretty angry. I mean, I used to be pretty bitter about life and people. I used to blame everybody else. You know, I mean, I know Tia can testify to that. I mean, she was there for 26 years of it. But I mean, now I just feel like he's restoring some of that time that I wasted, you know, by giving me the opportunity to hang out with him. You know, so, I mean, that's just me. I mean, I think that's the way he's rewarding me from my ignorance, but finally seeking him. And he's like, man, I got you, bro. I mean, you know, I don't know. I mean, like Sunday after we finished at church to go hang out with Shelby and Rashad. I mean, I cherish that now, whereas before it was more of a hindrance, you know. I mean, so I just really thank God for those opportunities. Just like you talking about with Jalen, you know, when I went down there to go see him. I mean, it was rewarding, you know what I'm saying? I think that's God because he's restored that relationship. You know what I'm saying? Like Nita even on Sunday when she shared, you know, as a family, how, I don't know, just something about that restores us to, I don't know, that's better than any materialistic thing, you know? So I guess I've learned to appreciate that more because of my parents. You know, every time I talk to my dad, he'll send me a message later on the next day or something. I enjoyed talking to you. You know, he's like, man, it's so sweet. Anybody else?
I think another reward of seeking God is for abundant life, meaning the quality of it. Like we talked about, you know, just the time we spend with family, how important it is to us, or it should be, and when that's not, you know, focus.
Yeah.
There's kind of like there's all, you know, the chaos and all that stuff but when we're seeking God and everybody is doing their part, then we are like on one accord, and it's not like we bump heads about all different things. So and when we're doing that, then we can have that peace of God. You know, ain't nothing like having a peaceful house.
Yeah.
Because you know the difference when, you know, people are throwing things and yelling and screaming and, you know, just different stuff like that. When you would rather it not be that way. You like the laughter and the clowning and doing, you know, the fun stuff that we look forward to, and we can share that. You don't want to share that, okay, we were fighting yesterday, and, you know, that's the stuff you like close, that's that room in the house that you close the door to, and nobody goes in there, you know, but when there's joy and you know, that all that good stuff, you know, that you can share with other people, you don't mind sharing, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, we had a blast, you know, all kinds of stuff. But when you're on the same page and everybody's walking, you know, to the same beat, you know, it's a good thing.
And it's not imitation, it's real. Because you'll see some families that, I mean, you're like, man, they must have it together. And then come to find
Facebook
out, I mean,
families,
it's
where
pretty
they show-
chaotic.
They got a picture
So,
for everything.
yeah.
Oh, man, here, we went there.
And that's why I like how you said peace. And there's a difference between that peace and no chaos as to looking at, like you said, a picture and going, man, they got it together. To find out that, I mean, somebody within the family is either abusive or, I mean, I definitely like that. Last one, what is it that you are seeking God for in your life? Oh, okay.
Anybody wanted to.
Well, I mean,
it's like something to think through.
yeah, to ponder on.
Yeah.
What is that you are seeking God for in your life? So, and if anybody wants to, please feel free
That would
to share. Literally, for me, I pray it all the time. God, make me a better man. Because or make me a godly man. Because if I'm that, then everything else pretty much should take care of itself. And my wife, but I tell you, I'm still praying. I'm still praying on it. I'm still praying that He would make me godly.
Friends like that. He did say,
I think if we go back to that last question, whether the Lord is seeking God, I think I'm saying most important one, but it says that we will find Him. We will seek Him.
Yeah, I didn't think about that. Yep. So He says it. It's in His Word. You seek Him, He will be found.
It's like the one train that y'all need to meet.
Yeah.
sometimes we just we're going the wrong way. So it's like, that's the repent part, turn away from what I want to be doing and what, oh.
It was funny that you said I was doing some writing last week. That's one thing I wrote about. God is in the same spot He's been. I'm saying he doesn't like.
Right, he's not like he's moving
changes.
everywhere.
He's not like, oh man, I was over here doing. I'm sorry, I fell off for a minute. He's like, no, if there's any falling off, or me turning the wheel, it's on us. You know what I'm saying? He's like, that's where I'm gonna be. I'm not going anywhere. We do the turning away or letting go. I think I always think of this skit. So people have done different, some different renditions of it or whatever, but it's basically like this person comes to relationship with Christ. I guess it's not like praise dancing, but it's more like it's just music over the top of it. It's like this person's like they're like walking with Christ and holding his hand, and here along comes like some people they're like pulling them away and God, His hand is like that. The person basically lets go of God's hand, and ultimately it winds up being where they are able to break free. Like he's right there where He was when they let go of His hand before. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like turning away and letting go. It's like it's a choice, yeah. You know what I'm saying? It's like I was always talking to you the other day. We were talking about how Satan, while he does have his role, there's nothing he can make us do. We're real big part of that. We even when he's not in the picture, it's things that we like, man, I'm gonna do this, or this is what I want to do. And you gonna do, or sometimes he does entice you with things, but even when that enticement, like, well, there's still an opportunity. He's not like pushing you in the back, you know what I'm saying, like off the cliff, like because you committed to it then. There's no push off the cliff. There's just jumping off the cliff.
Yeah, because I go back to where it says, in Psalms, he'll give you the desires of your heart. I mean, really, in all honesty, the desire of our heart should be him. So, to me, that's the greatest. I mean, the greatest reward or anything was when he sent Christ to the cross, and that was the ultimate reward. But the fact that it just didn't end there, but that because of that, we can experience his presence. Now, I've had a lot of great times over my lifetime, but nothing has been greater than experiencing his presence. Where you can't even, you're just in awe. And I can honestly say that, his presence shows up and just bam. I mean, you just think, man, this is the creator of everything. And he wants to hang out with me. And it's phenomenal.
I mean, it's you said it really thing like everybody has to understand how important they are, not just to the next person to your neighbor, but just like, man, how important you are to God. It's not because you further away or because you work over here or you work over there or you know what I'm saying, you in this part of town versus that part of town. God is not that's not why that's not what's important to him. What's important to him is you. It's like you yourself without anything else not added to it. It's you. It's you. It's like I love you and you're special to me. It's just I think a lot of people it's like, man, that's like hard to believe because part of it, like you said, we've been conditioned to a degree to be like to think, and maybe part of this even come back into play. It's when we talked about it before, it's so much easier to receive the worst about yourself. Like, I'm okay, it's alright. I'm not all that. Whatever versus seeing in yourself what God sees in you.
Yeah. Amen.
Yeah, free
That will